So should you name your freelance business after your own name, after yourself, or think of like a brand name for the freelance business? So there's not a black and white answer here, but I'll give you some perspectives and hopefully give you a framework where you can make a decision. So first of all, let's talk about naming it as your own name. So your own freelance business is quite simply whatever your first and second name is, and hopefully you can get the social media handles and the domain for your website, etc., etc. Now the benefits of that are very obvious in that it is super personal. It's very trustworthy. It's very credible. This is the individual that I'm working with. You can obviously have your about page. You can have links to your social media. Very transparent, very open, very clear to the prospects that they're working with you as a freelancer. So that is the very clear and obvious benefit of going ahead with your name as a freelancer. So we'll talk about the cons of that, and this will kind of touch on one of the benefits of creating a brand name as well, is that depending on what you want to do in your future, and it is good to think about this before you launch or in the early stages of your freelance business when you can still pivot your kind of name of the freelance organization. So if you have ambitions, or you think you may have ambitions to grow your freelance business to where potentially you become a small agency or a small business or organization doing whatever it is your service is, and this could be because you can collaborate with others, you might have partners, you maybe even think you'll get to the stage where you have employees. By naming it under your own name, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that transition. And not difficult in the sense that you can still go ahead and do all of those things. You can create a small business, have employees, etc., etc. But you will be a little bit tied to that brand. Certainly for an initial period of time. Obviously, there are big brands out there with people's names that I'm sure they're not doing the kind of day-to-day operational side of things anymore, and they maybe even exited the business and their name still stands because of the brand kind of heritage and longevity. But for when you're starting out as a freelancer and you may upgrade to an agency within 2 or 3 years, you're very much aligned to the business, and actually sometimes that can give you, in that kind of size where you're relatively small and early, it still comes across that it's just you as a consultant. But if you want to get across the true image that you actually know you're a small growing business with a team of talent, again, your personal name may not do that. So by having a brand name from the start, actually, you can have this very nice transition from you as a freelancer to actually then adding employees, people working for the small business, as I say, growing an agency, whatever it might be. And so that's my preferred method, but only because I had aspirations to do that. And that's what I went on to do after my freelance business, expand that into an agency, add people to the team, et cetera, and use the brand name of what was the freelance business originally. So I do think that is something to consider before you make the decision. Now, to get the best of both worlds, what I tended to do and what I quite like to advise others to do as well is have a brand name, but obviously have your kind of yourself, your own name, your personality as a freelancer very much linked to that. So obviously in terms of the social media pages, don't just have a brand name kind of, headless kind of no person involved social media profile and presence. Maybe have a brand name, a company name page, but say, ran by, and then have your own page. And what you'll often find is actually your own page will perform better because it's more personal, but you can still build up the brand over time. And then, for example, on your website, if it's brandname.com, still have obviously a very detailed about page with your profile link, link through to your social media presence, to your LinkedIn profile, etc. And you can still have that, personality and credibility. So you can kind of get the best of both worlds, but you hedge your bets that if you do actually grow, and there are many reasons why you may not want to, by the way, but you keep your options open. And then obviously you can then pivot and adapt. And at the end of the day, there's absolutely no harm in having the brand name. So I haven't really given you an exact answer there, but I've given you the pros and cons. So hopefully you can make your own decision. Personally, because I always wanted to grow the freelance businesses that I was involved in, or the freelance services that I was providing, I knew I'd expand them. I thought the brand name method was a good one. But yeah, I've seen people who are very successful as freelancers under their own name as well. But most of those, to be honest, have stayed as a very, very, not small, but as an individual freelancer. So a pure play, true freelancer. And as I say, fantastic, successful business. And I'll link to a video on this topic actually, in terms of if freelancing could be a long-term career. But yeah, that's what they've gone on to build and achieve. So if you know for certain that's the way to go, then perhaps, just using your own name could be the right thing to do.